Amen. Amos, minor prophet, wrote these words in the 3rd chapter. He said, hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you. What a way to start out. That the Lord has spoken against you. O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Come on, Pastor Jones. That can't be the end of the year message. Come on. You're supposed to dance out. Verse 3, the verse we're most familiar with. Can two walk together except they be agreed? You may be seated. Again, service starts tomorrow night at 10 at Nickeltown. Can two walk together except they be agreed? I want to talk to you this morning from the title, and I really need your attention today, particularly our leaders. The subject is, what happened? Yeah, just that simple. What happened? Y'all praying for me? Y'all know what we do every time about this time of year. And don't let nobody dissuade you from doing this, because it's a good thing to do. At the end of the year, we really should. It's actually wisdom for us to take an introspective stance with our lives, meaning I need to take some time and look at who? Me. As much time as we like to spend trying to examine and figure out other people, you're the only joker you got to live with. No matter how hard you try, no matter how many additional personalities you create, all y'all gonna have to live together. Everybody else can leave by their own fruition or by divine fruition. No relationship is guaranteed. So it makes sense that you exercise wisdom as we begin to make this transition ordered by the calendar and by God, to begin to look back at your life. And you got to ask yourself, as we said last Sunday, you got to learn how to ask good questions. Ask some good questions of yourself. Basic questions like, how did I do this year? How did I do? Did I really grow this year? Am I in a better place December the 30th than I was January 1? How about this one? Is God pleased with me overall? Got to put that little disclaiming word at the end, overall. Because I know I had some days. Anybody got some days? You recall some stuff that you didn't look like you belong to Jesus? Some of y'all doing it right now because you're lying. You had some days. But after you ask the question, is God pleased? You need to ask, am I? Am I pleased? Am I satisfied with who I became over these last 365 days, these last 12 months? How did I use my time? How did I use my experiences? How did I use my resources? How did I use my interactions? All those things that were ushered into my life. Some I sent for, some came on their own. Did I use them to make me better? You ought to be talking like that. And these things should lead us to make some decisions. And I'm watching how jaded our world is becoming, because right now, when people begin to talk about New Year's resolutions, most folks have become a pretty sarcastic about it. They mock the idea of you making resolutions again. And I get that, because they know most of the time our resolutions end in failed attempts. But I'm not one of those persons that would discourage you. I am always going to tell you, set some goals for yourself. Talk to yourself, right? Decide how you're going to be better. But I get why people are a little sarcastic about it, because as I said a few minutes ago, most of these things result in attempts that don't last. We resolve ourselves at the beginning of the year. We resolve ourselves that we're going to exercise more. We resolve within ourselves that we're going to eat better. I'm going to be healthier this year. We tell ourselves that. But as we look back, many of the resolutions we made, Dan, didn't end up with lasting change. Why is change so hard? I had to study that thing. I can't have a ministry called Changing Your Mind and not understand change. And one of the things I discovered, y'all, why our resolutions don't last is because most of the statements or the declarations we made are fueled by negative emotions. We making decisions off of regret, off of shame, off of guilt. And as powerful as those emotions are when they show up, they have no staying power. Guilt can't make you sustain your promise. It'll make you make one. You know that. Regret will make you promise it ain't going to ever happen again. But that feeling don't last to make you maintain the statement. We have to have a positive end to motivate us to stay on track, because we can't live by negativity. We're just not made that way. We're made in the image of God, and this thing has to look like it's promising for us to attach ourselves to it forever. Does it make sense to anybody? And so we fail. It's you know how it goes. Something happens. Something happens, and since Sid is my trainer, he can roll his eyes at me when I say this. Something happens that gives me an excuse not to go to the gym one day. Then it becomes easier not to go. Oh, y'all got the same problem. I see. 2 days, then 3. Before long, you ignoring Sid's text messages. Said we're going to eat better, but one piece of fried chicken can't hurt nobody. The lies I tell myself. The lie was one. Who can eat just one? Before long, my face is greasy, and I'm sneaking and eating in my car. Going to Spinks like I'm an addict. Let me get that 2-piece. I got 5 on it. Confession is good for the soul. It is. This chicken is good for the mouth. I'm stuck there. I got a problem. But as much as frequent as weight loss goals and exercise goals and eating healthy goals are, when we start making resolutions, they're not the most popular. The most popular, see if y'all can help me out. The most popular resolutions always deal with what? Relationship. Doesn't it? The one you're more quick to make deals with relationships. You're deciding and posting and doing all this other kind of stuff, trying to decide who you're not going to deal with in 2019, who you're going to treat better in 2019. For my singles, who you going to find in 2019. Here's a little note: find yourself first before you go find somebody else. That's right, Angie, and mess them up. But we make all of these decisions. And listen, y'all, it's understandable to me why we do that, because watch this. Because at the core of all the advancements that we made in life is a well-managed relationship. It is. Somebody was there. But also at the core of every disappointment, pain, and hurt is a poorly managed relationship. As much as you want to get to the gym and rediscover your fineness, you're hoping somebody notices. No, I'm just getting fine for Jesus. Please. You're eating better because you want to be around longer. Why? Because I want to enjoy my relationships. I don't want to just be around to be around. I learned that from my great aunt, who was 107 when she passed. And we were talking one day, a couple of days before she died, and she laid her head on my chest when everybody walked out the room, and she said, "Wendell, I'm tired." We was praying and trying to keep Mama here. She said, "I'm tired." She said, "I've seen all I need to see." And he said, "The people that I love the most, they've been gone." We wanted her to stay just for our relationships, but she was trying to tell us, I've buried too many already. I want to go where they are. I get it. I've been at the bedside of several people who were transitioning. One of the most painful sights to see. You know, it's a glorious sight to be there when a child is being born, but I'm telling you, it's something to behold when you see somebody taking their last breath. But the thing that is coming on their deathbed, they're not talking about their purpose, not talking about the kingdom, not talking about the house, not talking about nothing. Their eyes are searching the room for somebody that they love. And as their eyes begin to grow dim, they want to have a stare into somebody else's eyes who they know love them, as they are ushered into the presence of God in the face of somebody else who loves them. So I get it. I get why relationships stay at the top of our mind. So what happens to cause us to go 365 days and get to the final part of our year and begin to make these declarations and these resolutions about people? What happens? Look at somebody to see if they got the answer. Say, what happened? What went so wrong that I had to create a resolution about you? Yeah. I had to draw a line in my life. What happened to cause us to make such extreme statements like, I'm done with fill the blank. I'm done with church. I'm done with this job. I'm done with religion. I'm done. We'll quit stuff because of a person. You'll stop coming to church because a relationship in the church sours, when the primary relationship should have been you and. What has happened? Let's let Amos help us. He certainly helped me. In Amos 3, the prophet Amos is talking to us about a relationship that has taken a turn for the worse. It's taken such a turn for the worse that one of the parties in the relationship has made a resolution. He's made a decision. In this relationship that we just read about in chapter 3, it is the relationship between God and his family that he calls Israel. Sometimes we forget that Israel was just a family initially. Didn't really become a state until 1948. But initially it was a man and his children that grew to numbers to be recognized as a people. And God is saying to these people, I got an issue with you. And God is clearly upset. I promise you, I'll show you in the Bible in just a minute. Verse 2, we get to see how God is feeling about this relationship at this moment. Listen what God is saying to them. He said, you only have I known of all families in the earth. Stop right there. Is God saying to Israel, I don't know nobody but you? Is God saying that he's been ignorant of all the other families outside of Israel's family? Is he saying that? Absolutely not. God knows everybody, but he's making something particularly known about them. He says, listen, because whenever the Bible uses the word known, especially in the Old Testament, it's talking about intimacy. He said, there's nobody that I gave myself to more than you. There's nobody that I revealed myself to more than you. Nobody can say they've got this relationship that you have with me. Let me show you something. The principle right there is this, that the level of his anger is tied to the level of intimacy. He said, for other folks who don't know me as well as you do, they get a pass. Because I don't have the same expectations of them that I should have of you, because you know me. I've been with you through Abraham. I've been with you through Isaac. I've been with you through Jacob. I've been with you through the 12 sons. I've been with you through all of this stuff. You ought to know me better than to act like this. Just that part right there rocked my world, because so oftentimes we tell us, especially us in the church, we try to teach us how to suppress feelings of disappointment. Because when somebody does not honor the relationship as you thought that they would, you're told that you're supposed to not show your frustration. Then I read in the Bible where my God is showing out. He is so upset with Israel. He says, listen, he said, therefore I will what? Because you should have handled me better, I'm going to go back and look at all your stuff. You ain't supposed to do that. There is a breaking point for all. Did you know there's a point where God will turn you over to yourself? You mean God got a breaking point? And so look at your neighbor and say, well, you ain't God, so I need to be more careful with you. Or better yet, do this, I ain't God. Look at him, I ain't God. I ain't got his patience. I know. Thank you. He said, I'm bothered. What happened? At some point, well, it happened quite often, but in this particular text, somewhere along the way, Israel decided that it no longer needed to honor the covenant. Israel decided that she no longer needed to maintain the agreement. This is what angered God. Again, he could accept violations from people who didn't know him as well. But you know me. I've been with you. And you still think this is okay. He reached his limit. And so the prophet asked the question in verse 3 on behalf of God. He says, since you thought it was okay to walk away from the agreement, can we continue to move along? Can we continue to walk? How can, is it possible to walk together except we be what? Agreed. We have to be in sync. We have to be on one accord. God is saying, watch this. We've gone as far as we can go because you no longer honor, listen, the original agreement. That's what happened in 2018. Relationships took a turn because people didn't honor original agreements. Are you listening to me? Stay with me. It's going to make sense. I promise you. It's going to make sense. Somebody say original. Somebody decided to stop honoring the original, what we said and agreed to in the beginning. Last time I'm going to look to your neighbor. Look at your neighbor and say this. Say, we can't have a relationship unless we find some agreement. We can't. The only reason a relationship begins. All, listen, y'all, hear this. All relationships begin with agreement. If you're squirming, you know you've been a violator. All relationships begin with agreement. But hold that thought for me a minute, because before we talk about agreement, let's talk about relationship. Let's make sure we know what relationship really means. What is this thing that we obsess with? Don't we? You know somebody's talking foolish when they say they don't need nobody. Those are the loneliest of people. Normally they say that because they don't know how to relate. Relation plus ship. The word relation literally means that we formed a connection through the exchange of information. Stay there for a minute. We began relations because there was a connection after we exchanged information, and through the exchange of information, we found something we had in common. See, this is what truly connects us. If there was no exchanging of thoughts, there was no true connection. And so what has minimized the idea of what this word really means, because you ask somebody nowadays, what does relations mean? What would they say? We had relations. Y'all grown. Well, shoot, the children are here today. Doggone it. Well, you need to, if they understand it, you better explain it in the car. And normally in modern day vernacular has sexual connotation. But let me show something that God revealed to me. He said, listen, he said, it's very possible for you to be attracted to someone off of their physical attributes, but that don't mean you're connected. He said, what the attraction does is that it creates, whenever you violate the will of God, you make room for the counterfeits of his things. The real thing of God is called love. Its counterfeit is called lust. So I can be attracted to you physically, and lust will make us come together. And we could actually perform a physical act and still not know each other. Just because we naked, that don't mean you know. Yeah. I tell people all the time that you didn't fall in love with what they look like. You fell in love with what they said. You didn't feel at home with CYM because we got a nice building. You feel connected to what was said. When Jesus asked the 12 disciples, he said, are y'all going to leave me too? When everybody else walked by, because the multitude showed up for fish. And so when the fish was gone, guess what the multitude did? They left too. But the ones who connected for the word, fish or not. So he looked at Peter and he said, hey, y'all, you going too? He says, you have the words for my life. So nobody care about no fish. I'm a fisherman. I can get my own fish, but I can't get what you've been saying. Because you've been talking to me in a way that's making me feel like I'm more than a fisherman. Relation. Connection. We said some things. And as we talked, we found some commonality. And once we had commonality, the relationship began to move. How can two walk together? Miss Betty's purse is trying to preach over me. Hallelujah. This must be good stuff at the pocketbook talking. I know the Bible says the rocks will cry out. I didn't know he said, didn't know the purse would. Amen. We don't shift to another level. Tell the Lord, no, never. We're already going to another level. Connection by the exchange of words. We found something in common, which gave us reason to link up. And here's what's amazing. I didn't realize this until I began to study the etymology of all of this stuff. And it taught me this. It said, but when you add the word ship to relation, the word ship means power. When you learn how to relate right, the reward of that is power. You tap into something that you could not have done on your own. We got scripture that verifies that. Watch this. You already know this. One can set 1,000, but two can set, what is that? Power. God says where there are two or three gathered together in my name, meaning we agree. He says, what'll happen? He shows up. And since he's been given all power, he shows up with what? Power. Isn't that amazing? Genesis 11:6 talks about the principle of unity. You can't have unity with one person. There's got to at least be how many? And scripture tells us in Genesis 11:6 that because they got on one accord, nothing could be denied. Watch this. And now nothing will be restrained from them. God says, even with them opposing me, I can't stop them because they got the same voice. The only way he could stop their momentum is he shook up their ability to communicate. It's in the book. And because they could no longer talk to one another, they were scattered. There's power when you get the root word right. Friendship. When I learned how to be we together are more powerful than I could have ever been alone. Word. Chip. When I get together with him and allow him to establish my worth, I'm more powerful than a self-help book could ever make me. But I got to know how to do the root right. If I don't get the root right, mama, ain't no power. Am I making sense to you? Help me teach this, Lord. The power comes because we came together. Listen, that's why it always feels so good in the beginning. Because it has all this promise. You can feel all of this potential. You didn't know it was power. You just know this is nice. I like you, you like me. Hey, this is wonderful. I got a new friend. Hey, let's go out to eat. Man, I have such a good time with you. Man, we just clicked. This is nice. I didn't know that thing I was feeling was power. God's reward for coming together. It's not good for man to be alone. But if he can just get with somebody, if he can get with somebody and turn that phone off over there. Time right now. Hallelujah. I guess they want to see too. Okay. Tammy, answer it. No, I'm just kidding. Can you turn it off? Sometimes you can't turn off the power, huh? Work that thing, Pastor Jones. Work that thing. I really could preach that, but I ain't got time. All right. Together, we're able to do so much more. Together, life feels better. In the beginning, I'm almost done. In the beginning, watch this. We feel powerful. Watch this, y'all. Because we created something that never existed before. Never. When we came together, we created this thing called that never existed before. We actually stepped over into our God quality. He is a creator. When we came together, he showed us what it was like to be connected to him. Now create something. We created a relationship. And it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, it could be a marriage, it could be a friendship, it could be pastor-member relationship. It's relationships of any kind. And listen, all of these, listen, y'all, so we can quit screwing this up. All of these are based on original what? Agreements. Every relationship has its own set of agreements. The name of the relationship states the goal of the relationship. You don't start out married, you just got paperwork. But if you work the agreements, you create one. You don't start out really as friends. There are agreements to this. Every relationship, if you want to be in the band, there's an agreement that you're supposed to hold to. that keeps us in good standings. If you want to be on the choir, there's an agreement that when you were joined, you were told some things. These are the expectations of you. You're supposed to be here, show up, be ready to do the work. Don't talk when Kiana's talking. Pay attention. There's an agreement. If you want to be an usher, you got to be here on time. You got to be this. You got to do all this stuff. There's an agreement with us. And when you honor the agreement, we produce. You know what's expected because we talked about it in the beginning. Only reason this relationship began to move is because you said yes. Now, you couldn't predict all the stuff that was going to come, but you made an agreement. It all depends. Stay there. Thank you, Lord. Every time the enemy wants to squash momentum, he gives somebody in the relationship an idea. It ain't necessary to do this anymore. I think we ought to do this now. You're not even the leader. You're just staging a coup. You're trying to wrestle away leadership by whispering new agreements in the ears of people, which result in division. And now the thing that once was powerful begins to suffer. Am I making sense? If you're a minister, there's an agreement that you're here at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning so you can do what with us? Pray. Because you added to the equation gives us more power. You've decided that you can't get up, but you want to maintain your title. But we're suffering our voltage because you think you ain't got to do that no more. I've been here long enough. I don't need to. I know the Lord. I don't need to come to Sunday school. I'm a leader. Don't take my position, but I ain't coming to Sunday school nor Bible study. But I want my role. You breaking the, and so you're reducing the. And so the thing we created, this thing called a relationship, begins to die. Come here, Jeremiah. Do me a favor. I always put you in awkward positions, but you love me. Get up there and lay down on your back. Cross there. He got to trust me to do that, don't he? See, here's the thing I need you to understand is this. No. Lay on your back. Don't be posing. He up there looking like he in a J.C. Penney catalog. Wow. Let me see. Hold up, Tina, when you violate, listen, you got to get this so you can see why things went south. When you violate the original agreement, the new thing we created begins to die. That's why agreements have to be spoken and not implied. I got to tell you what I expect. Even though many of us are guilty of false advertisement, making promises just to get the goods, whatever the goods may be. But the moment you think it's okay to violate the agreements, this beautiful thing that once made us feel good begins to die. And you find yourself doing all kinds of things, trying to resuscitate it. You look at it. Maybe if I just send her some flowers, that'll fix this thing. Maybe, no, I just got to cook his favorite meal. I know he likes this. I ain't doing what Pastor asked me to do. I just fry him some chicken. But it's still dying. Still dying. Because all the stuff you're trying to give to it ain't what gave it life in the beginning. It wasn't how sexy you dress. It wasn't the car you bought. It wasn't none of that. We came together because you made some agreements. And this thing won't survive if we don't get back to the agreements. I tried everything to bring it back. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't go back to what we promised. The only reason I allowed you in my space is because we had an exchange. And you made some promises to me. And I made some promises to you. The moment you violate that, pastor's acting funny. Pastor don't respect my gift no more. No, pastor's questioning your integrity. I can believe in your gift and question your integrity at the same time. You're good at this, but you're not accountable. But pastor, you don't understand. Things got tough. You gave me your word. And based on how much I gave you, based on how much I shared with you, that has determined the level of my anger. Just as God said, listen, Israel, you know me. The Amalekites don't know me like you do. The Midianites don't know me like you do. God, why aren't you getting them? They still worshiping idol gods. You know me. I poured myself into you. Where's the agreement? Now listen, the temptation for you is to begin to examine their breakage, but where was yours? Did you do everything you said you would do? And now you're trying to put it together with some scotch tape and some barbed wire. And just, we got mixed company. Negro rigged. But this ain't what I signed up for. You can't ask me to be the same when what we created ain't the same. We had an agreement. And the agreement gave us momentum. The agreement made us look to the future. The agreement made us have these expectations of things greater. Why did you shift? What's the solution, Pastor? Well, the most obvious solution is this. The most obvious solution is that we go back to what we said. That's the behavior that we have with God. God says, repent and go back to what we agreed. And he is the resurrection, so he'll bring it back to life. But the breakage doesn't always happen because of malice or bad intentions. Sometimes the breakage of agreement comes as a result of growth. I know better. And so therefore I want to do better. That's fine and well, and that should be the case, but also you got to still understand this underlying principle that if I still, even with my growing, if I still want to maintain relationship with you, now we got to form new agreements. Now we have the opportunity to build something new and improved. But if you're breaking the agreement and it only seems to serve you, if you're breaking the agreement and it seems to make what we had less than, it's all right for me to have a problem with it. Don't use my faith against me. to try to get me to accept less than. I serve a God who believes in ascension, going from glory to glory, faith to faith. All things in God should be increasing. So if the stretch is, if the strain is coming from growth, I can deal with that. But if you're trying to pull me down, if you're trying to get me to accept less than, I got a problem with that, because I worked too hard to get here, to walk backwards down the hill. I done got halfway up this mountain. I don't feel like going back down. What happened? Somebody didn't keep their agreement. Man, CYM ain't the church I thought it was, man. They don't. Did you keep your agreement? Man, we can't do, we should be doing all the other stuff the other churches are doing. Are you still tithing? Well, I've been here for a couple years. I'll just give my time. That's not the agreement. The nature of our relationships. And my prayer is that 100% of us, including myself, feels convicted. You made some promises. I'm going to help with this. Come on. I'm going to serve here. Come on. You can count on me with this. Come on. Where you at? Well, I decided. But I still need you to treat me the same. No, what we had has died. We got a new relationship now. We got one based on the fact that I can't count on your word. So wisdom says, treat you differently. Love you the same, treat you differently. I love you, but I can't give you responsibility. I love you, but I got to use somebody else who has integrity. Because we got to make sure we don't just completely kill the power. Am I making sense? How did it turn left? Check the original agreements. Did you maintain them? Did you change for the better? Or are you making things more difficult? Leaders, Kiana, hold them to the agreement. I'm glad they want to sing, but they're going to sing right. They're going to practice right. John, hold them to the agreement. Kim, hold them to the agreement. I'd rather go from 12 to 3 if the 3 got power. Hold them to the agreement. Because if you let people slide, you're going to allow them to slide into a debased place. And we all need the power that comes out of these relationships. Are you hearing me? Things have died relationally. Somebody to keep their part. Was it you? Repent. Was it you? Make it right. Don't you dare complain about a thing that you no longer even show up for. Oh man, they used to be real good with when I was on it. Man, they ain't popping like they used to. What was your part? Did you agree out of zeal? Or did you carefully think through your commitment? Relationships die. Play my flat line one more time, Tina. What's dying around you? Because circumstances gave you the right to not uphold your part. Can't control what nobody else does. But I know what's expected of me. I'm going to make sure that I'm not the reason that this happened. It will not flatline on my watch. That's the sound of so many people's dreams. Because I couldn't do it alone. And the people I covenanted with shifted on me. But Pastor, you don't know what I'm going through. I don't. But I promise you, you ain't alone. Just because it got hard doesn't mean it wasn't still required. What would it be like if God says, you're too hard to deal with? I got too many other children to worry about. I'm going to let, half of y'all just go to hell. You expect God to keep his, come for me, God. And Todd said we're developing the character of Christ. Have you kept your part of the deal? It's quiet in this Episcopal Methodist Apostolic Church of the Latter-day Saints. It's quiet. That's good. God set things in motion with what? Words. We set things in motion with what? Words. We hope that God's word never fails. Because he says, I uphold the world with my words. We uphold our relationships with our words. This is so deep, Travis ain't even playing right now. Play Travis. We got to check ourselves. Man, we ain't as good as we used to. Who broke the word? We can fix it. Tina, put the takeaway up there for me, please. Just say amen so I know you're still out there. Our agreements not only created momentum, how can two walk together? But it also created a new creation called a relationship. All relationships are sustained by agreements. And when the agreements are violated, the original relationship begins to die. Please get that. This year, be clear on what the agreements are and be slow to sign on unless you're truly committed to them. This will enable you to maintain your momentum. And what we can't see at the bottom, it says this will enable you to maintain your momentum and your integrity. Know you well enough to know what you can and can't do. Make sure you state those things up front. But if you give your word, there ought to be equivalent effort to maintain it. Am I making sense? And if you don't, then quit asking us to be depressed with you when it dies. You had a choice. What are y'all trying to figure out? What it says at the bottom? Thank you, Tina. You Johnny on the spot. She broke it up so you could see the ending. Did this shed some light on some stuff? Anybody convicted? Anybody mad at me? Good. That's part of our agreement. You show up, I make you mad, you get better. This word beat me up all week. Y'all just get it for 45 minutes. Check your agreements window. Come on, stand to your feet. How much better would your 2019 be if you applied this? You got time to reconcile what needs to be reconciled. But you can also build in a healthy manner going forward. Listen to me. Let me say this. Be people of integrity. Don't join things or connect to things that you don't really agree with. Because eventually you will be exposed as a divider you didn't really intend to be. Sometimes it's easy to connect to things because you see the benefits. But before the benefits, you have to be on the team that's sowing, that's working. Those benefits don't just come. Those benefits come as a result of the agreements of people working hard together, whether it be church, whether it be your job, whether it be your family. If you're not in agreement, don't go in and be the cancer. Don't go in and be the thief that's just coming to take. I promise you, when you come and you give together, collectively, we produce a greater power. You'll get more than you gave in return, I promise you. But if you show up empty-handed, if you only show up when you need something, then you're defining the nature of the relationship. Thank you, Lord. I know we got to go. Listen, let me say that again. Somebody needs to hear that. When you only show up when you need something, then quit acting like it's strange that folks treat you like you're somebody who shows up when they need something. That's the relationship we create. Am I making sense? When you want it to be different, when you want it to be closer, when you want it to be intimate, you got to have new agreements. The agreements shape the relationship. And you're in charge of that. That don't just happen. You're in charge of that. Come on, bow your heads. Lord, I pray that the word finds root in your people. I did as you said. Do as you promised. Before we leave this place, all eyes are closed, please. This is part of the relationship between pastors and members. If you're in this place, I think Todd said we had 4 to raise their hand earlier to give their life to Christ. I'm going to stick my neck out there because I felt in my spirit there's a 5th person. There's a 5th person that knows he or she needs to say, okay, God, I'm going to give you a chance on me. See what you can do with me. And I promise you, he's more than able. He's that kind of God that's so confident he doesn't ask you to clean up nothing. He says, bring it with you. He's so good at what he does, he doesn't ask you to quit a thing. Just show up. And he so smoothly begins to remove the taste for things that are beneath you. He does it so smooth that he doesn't have to strip it from you. You'll release it. So where are you? If you're here, you're that 5th person that's supposed to say, okay, Jesus, I need you. All I need to do is see your hand for just about a second or two. Bring all of you with you. He wants you. He absolutely wants you. And no, sir, you're not late. You're right on time. Even with all that I've done, God, absolutely. He said, I'm going to use every bit of that. Where are you? Where are you? Pray, saints, pray. Father, we thank you for this time of fellowship and this time of impartation. We thank you for moving us in the direction of integrity and character that's reflective of your nature. We thank you, God, for how your word begins to explain all the highs and lows of our lives. It even makes the pain make sense. It makes the pain purposeful. It makes our suffering a worthy investment just to be able to walk in your glory and return it back to you. Father, I pray for that fifth hand. Do what you need to do to grab him or her. Your word says no one can come to Jesus except they be drawn by the Father. So, Father, I step over into that word and agree with you and ask that you draw. Save your glory. Save it. It's in them. Save it. Master, we thank you for the strength you've given us over this fast and the revelation that will continue to come. We cast our prayers into the future and pray for the watch night service and the souls that will be saved there. Lord, give me your word that is relevant for your people and that gives you an additional glory that you so deserve. Keep us safe, Master. Help us to learn to appreciate one another and to continue to glorify you. In the matchless name of Jesus the Christ, I do pray. I love you, family. Amen.